And you are listening to episode 34 SCW, the wrestling podcast. Hi, my name is Steve. You're listening right now on youtube.com for Steve Chats Wrestling, hashtag SCW, the wrestling channel. Subscribe to the channel right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. We also have a Facebook page for this podcast. It is SCW, the wrestling podcast. Type that in the top of the search engine. Hit the like button and keep up to date with all the latest and breaking wrestling news. Whatever company it is, whether it's WB, TNA, Lucha Underground, much more. In fact, our guest today is from Cornish Pro Wrestling and Limited Edition Pro Wrestling. It is the one, the only, Mr. Vincent Andrews from the faction The Firm is going to be on the show today. Now, unfortunately, work commitments are getting in the way for me, so unfortunately, I'm not conducting the interview today, but my good friend who's joined me on many a podcast, Mr. George Jones, is going to be conducting the interview today, so without further ado, let's not waste any time. I'm very excited for this one. George, take it away.
Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the SCW Wrestling Podcast. My name is George Jones. I'm your host for this evening. I'm joined by another wonderful guest in the wonderful world of wrestling, none other than Vincent, the Mad Dog Andrews. How you doing, Vincent?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Very good. Obviously, today's a very sad day. The tribute of the late, great Brian Pillman passing. Another great wrestler. Unfortunately, we lost. But no, we're going to put on certainly a good show tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I'm going to start right at the beginning with you, Vincent. So when did you sort of get into wrestling? Were you a fan growing up?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of wrestling. I don't remember a time in my life where I didn't like wrestling, to be honest. I grew up in the 90s, so obviously I had the Attitude Era of WWF. And WCW was there. My folks used to watch it, so it was just there. It was accessible to me. I fell in love with it at a very, very early age, and always wanted to get into the business. That's
awesome. I was going to say, who was your favourite wrestler growing up?
Oh, that's a tough one, that is. The ones that always stuck out to me at that time was obviously like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. They were the guys, during that peak. Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, so many great ones. But I think The Rock was always, at that point, The Rock was probably one of my favourites. But as the years went by, that became, I think 90s was The Rock. 2000s, early and mid 2000s was Eddie Guerrero, still one of my favourites, and probably like modern era CM Punk is one of my favourites. So yeah, it varies.
Were you always just into sort of the mainstream WWE, or were you did you get into any of the more independent promotions such as Ring of Honor or anything like that?
No, not really. WWE and WWF obviously back then it was accessible to me, so I watched. That's what I knew. I didn't really watch too much of Ring of Honor. I've dipped in and out. I've seen bits, Ring of Honor, TNA. I watch bits and pieces, but no, I don't watch it as much religiously as I do WWE.
Oh, fair play. I was going to say, so how did you sort of go from being a fan almost into sort of training to be a wrestler? So what was that journey like, and how did it happen?
Do you know what? It just happened. It was by accident, really. Like I said, always loved wrestling. Always liked the idea of getting into the business. I don't know, there's something about, I would like to think of wrestlers as fans that took it too far.
Yeah, no, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, fans that didn't know when to stop. I came across an advertisement saying that training was going to be starting up in my area, and I was really excited, and I got in touch, and I was dubious. I'll be honest, I was a little bit dubious. I didn't know if it was my sort of thing. I like a good ruckus, I like a good fight. I didn't know if wrestling was the best idea. And I went and saw a show, and the very first match was Chris Andrews. Chris Andrews and Eddie Ryan. I'm sure you obviously know who they are. They came out, and obviously they look incredible. And they put on a hell of a match and a hell of a show. And I was like, I'm sold. I'm doing it. And I turned around. Chris Andrews was in the ring at the end, and he was taking down the ring. And I shook his hand. I said, thanks for putting on a great show. And I said, one day I'll get in this ring. I'm gonna start training. I'll get in that ring. And a few months ago I did a show and I was in Chris Andrews' ring. So
wow, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how you go from sort of admiring somebody into sort of being in the room with them, if that makes sense. For people who don't know, Chris Andrews, I think the best equivalent I can give him, he's a bit like Exeter's answer to Brock Lesnar. He's very much got a massive stature and build. The guy's got a real good potential to go far in the business. But when did you sort of go from being sort of a fan to knowing that? How did you go from being a fan to knowing there was a booker and stuff like that?
Well, I knew I came across something on the internet and I found that I went to the show. Obviously, I was very dubious. As soon as I saw that show, I said what I said to Chris, and I walked out of the building. And I paid my money, I paid my fee there and then. And that was it. It was booked. And I had to wait, I think about a month, maybe a month and a bit before training started. And I went to America at that time, and I had a lot of time to to myself and stuff before and prepare and think, is this the right thing to do? But no, I did it. The date came around, which will be, I think it marks a year in like 2-3 days.
Wow. So a whole year. It was the quickest year of your life, I bet.
Yes and no. Yeah, a bit of both. Some of it feels really slow, and others, when I think of the opportunities that have been afforded to me in a very short time, it has gone by quite quickly.
Awesome. I was going to say, so who was your trainers then?
My very first trainer was John Hardin, the Rocker John Hardin. He was the very first. We did a couple of training boot camp sessions, and I was a little bit unfitter back then. And we did a cardio workout, and I just remember being burnt out like really, really quickly. I've always been able to throw in a few punches, but when you've got to do that high level of cardio, it takes it out of you. And we did it, and I was blown out, and I had my hands above my head, and I was controlling my breathing, and I stood there and went, wow, how the hell am I going to do this again? I've got to do this again tomorrow. And the rest of the day, I didn't think I'd... It put me off for a minute, because I knew this wasn't going to be easy. But I saw that through. John was the first trainer. I then moved on to LEP, where obviously Danny Walsh is the head coach. I spent a lot of time training with him and the other guys down there.
Okay, awesome. How long did it take you to train to your first match? How long was that period?
I started training in October, and I had my first match in March.
Wow, so it's not very long then, so you were straight in the ring almost. And sort of, did you decide at that point what type of, whether you would like to be sort of either a good guy or a bad guy, a heel or a face, or were you just trying to get sort of the basics down at that point?
Yeah, I was more focused on what I could do in the ring. And if the crowd liked me, they liked me. If they didn't, they didn't. They pay money. Do you know what I mean? So it's their choice whether they decide to boo me or cheer me. They pay their money. They sit down. They give us their time. So it's really up to them. I was just focused on making sure that I was putting on a good match. And the match sort of happened by accident. I wasn't originally booked for the match that I was in, but an opportunity came around, and I was in it, and I was bricking it, absolutely bricking it.
Where was your first match? Where was that?
It was in Torquay. It was with LEP, and it was a 6-man tag. I got to tag with a young guy called Bad Boy Bennett, who hasn't been around recently, and Josh Knott, who I've seen quite a few times on shows before. So yeah, that was awesome. And I took on TC Harris, JP, 2 up-and-coming guys, and John Hardin. So it sort of came full circle in the sense of that I started training with John, and then my first match, I was against him.
That's awesome. It's awesome just to see sort of going against your mentor almost in the first match. Did you have sort of any other mentors sort of growing up into the business?
No, not really. I like to get advice from anyone I can. Really, I always I've had the opportunity before. I've asked the UK Dominator. I said, did you watch the match? Could you give me any feedback? Just those guys that have been in it a while and know what they're talking about. So even though it may not be physical training, having them give you feedback, critique it, tell you what you did well, what you didn't do so well. That's always good.
That's awesome. It's awesome just to sort of hear sort of getting that feedback, isn't it? Who would you say sort of has been your favourite match so far?
My debut match in CPW, I think that's one of my favourites still.
So Cornwall Pro Wrestling, who were you facing?
It was a Fatal 4-Way match. It was a #1 contenders match for the trophy on my debut night. And I was against Jason King, Josh Knott, and Maximo. And I won.
What a debut, eh? On your debut night, and you're winning the trophy. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? What does it?
The trophy, I became #1 contender. On my first night, my debut there, I pinned Josh Knott and became the #1 contender.
Oh, that's awesome. I was going to say, how does it fit? How does it differ wrestling sort of for Cornish Pro Wrestling to limited edition pro wrestling? Is there much difference between both the federations? Would you say is there a difference in terms of your wrestling style for both?
No, not really. Like what I do, I try and keep it so that fans can recognise it when they go from show to show. Um, the crowd has, in front of a Cornwall crowd, there's a bit more of a buzz, I think, there for the firm because we live in Cornwall, we're from that area, so and it's a weird crowd, man.
Yeah.
Cornwall's a weird bunch, so but it's so much fun. It's so electric. So yeah, I think on that scale it's slightly different because it's hometown boys in front of their sort of people, so they really get behind us in that way. Whereas LEP, we sort of have to earn it a lot more with the crowd.
That's awesome. It's awesome sort of to hear sort of the difference between the promotions. Have you done any work for the sort of Plymouth Wrestling Association at all, or is that something you might consider?
I haven't as of yet. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd like to branch out to anywhere really. When the time is right, that's how I see it at the moment. When the time's right, I'll branch on to other things if those opportunities come around. I'm quite content on doing what I'm doing and paying my dues and just learning. You're always learning in this business. I'm sure Jensen said it last time. You're always learning. So yeah, I'm quite happy where I am at the moment, learning, picking up everything I can. And if those opportunities come around, then yeah, I'd love to expand and go to other places.
That's awesome. I was going to say, what would you say sort of you're hoping sort of for the future of Vincent the Mad Dog Andrews? Have you got any sort of future goals?
Gold.
Yeah, no, clearly. Would that be the Academy belt, or would you like sort of the world title? What would you like to see? What could you see yourself getting within the next 12 months potentially?
I'd like the Academy belt in LEP. I'd like that first. I'm a great believer in earning what you want. So I wouldn't dive straight for the heavyweight belt because I haven't earned it yet. Do you know what I mean? So and there's some great guys that are up there, and LEP has a great heavyweight champion at the moment. So my first sight is on the Academy belt, and then when my journey with that's done, then I'll move on to bigger and better things.
That's awesome. I was going to say, you obviously put together a stable called The Firm. What was the background there? How did that come about?
The boys at the firm are good friends of mine. We knew for a fact we've got great chemistry. We work well together, and we're not just brothers in the ring, outside the ring as well. We train together. We talk every day. We conduct business the way we conduct business with each other. So it felt like a very easy option to form that stable, and it's been relatively successful so far. I'd be. If I'm honest, yeah, the firm's done quite well.
That's awesome. Sort of, what would you say you're hoping for the firm's future as a stable, as a unit?
Competition.
Yeah.
The firm have been quite dominant. We've had some great matches and some great opponents. But we'd like, you're always looking for bigger and better, and by earning that, which I think we're doing every time. We've taken on winners and sinners.
Yeah.
A fantastic tag team, and we won. So by taking on a big team like that, just keep going and going. Hopefully tag belts in that future, and I'd like to see their own individual success. If they get those opportunities as well. So yeah.
That's awesome. It's awesome just to sort of see. Clearly, you are a great stable. There's a lot of unity there in that stable. Would you say sort of, is there any chance that you might branch out on your own?
If the time is right, if it feels right, if it's something I need to do for myself, if it's something the boys want to do, you're on your own in this business. You can have good friends, but you are on your own. So I mean, if it comes to that point where I need to go right, I need to just focus on me and not the firm, then that will be what happens. If Jago wants to do the same, he'll say the same to me. We're quite happy how we are at the moment. We haven't. Our story isn't finished yet, so we're quite happy how we are.
That's awesome. I was going to say, in recent weeks, it's almost like Vincent, you've been sort of on your own a bit. Is it sort of? Where are the other members of the firm? I have to ask the elephant in the room now.
On business, Mr. Rakes is exclusive to us with when we're in Cornwall down at CPW. He's a very, very busy man. And he gives us that time and comes together. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen him, but the guy is freakishly tall.
Yeah.
When he plants that choke slam, it makes people shiver. But he's a very busy man. Mr. Jacobs the same. We've had him away on a little business recently. He's been very occupied. And I've been quite happy to carry the name of the firm on my back whilst they've been doing that. So.
That's awesome. I was going to say, do you think the firm could potentially grow in members in the next few months?
Pardon, say again?
Do you think the firm could increase its membership within the next few months, potentially?
If the right people came along, yeah, I'd never say never. We've got, a great friend in Maximo, the current LEP Academy champion. He's fought alongside the firm down in CPW. And me and him have tagged together in LEP as well. So it'd be nice to bring Maximo to the fold if he ever wanted to. The door's always open. There's a few people we have our eyes on to think that they could be good potential for us.
So what would you say the future is going to be for Vincent the Mad Dog Andrews in the next sort of 3 to 4 months? Have you got any sort of prediction of where your future might lie?
Academy champion.
Hey, get on. So you're going to have to face potentially your friend Maximo. I would quite like to see that. Have you two ever had a match yet?
We had, yeah. So my debut match, obviously, like I said, the fatal 4-way. Me and him squared off against each other. He's got a hell of a kick on him. We competed in a 6-man Money in the Bank match in Plymouth a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Again, laid in some beautiful kicks. So we've squared off once or twice. I've got no problem if by wanting to take the academy belt, I've got to go through Maximo. It's fine. He's a great guy. His ethic is incredible. And as one friend to another, if I ask, give me that shot, he's not weak. He won't turn away from competition. Win or lose, we'll give out the best in each other. So who knows? That's
something I'd quite like to see. I think that could be a very interesting match potentially. Hopefully that sort of happens in the future if LEP are listening out there. But no, going sort of forward into this then. So in terms of the firm then, you've been solely pretty much the only stable within LEP at the moment, aren't you? Currently, one of the only stables.
Yeah, the only stable.
Yeah.
And people get put together and and it might work for one night, but I know Jason King and Adam Flint have been had a match or two together, so it wouldn't be the worst idea to take them down as well. But yeah, I mean the firm have been a consistent stable now for a good few months.
It's good to sort of have that unity and sort of teamwork, if that makes sense. What I was going to ask is, clearly your next show is November 12th in Plymstock. Any idea sort of who you might be facing at all as we are?
Not as of yet. No, I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know. We've got definitely some unresolved issues with a certain new stable that have made their presence. So we're going to be definitely keeping our eyes out for them. As opponents go, on that night, I'm not too sure. It's something you'll have to keep your eyes open for. It's always updates will be on the LEP page and their website and everything else like that. So those are the best places to get that information.
Would you say that this so-called new stable are the biggest threat the firm have ever seen?
I think they are a tough threat, but I don't think they're the biggest, the baddest. I'm sure there's bigger and badder out there. They've got in our way too many times. They've got in my way, personally, too many times. They've interrupted matches. They've cost me victories. They've attacked me on a couple of occasions now. So it's there's definitely a couple of issues there that need resolving, and I'm quite happy to resolve them.
I was going to say the only trouble I think that we're finding, sort of when we do see you in action, is you're always continually outnumbered at the moment. It seems 1 minute this stable, aka the Dead Man's Hand, have got 5 people coming to the ring. Next minute it's 3 people. You're getting beaten down 3-on-1, and as on Sunday you're beaten down 2-on-1. It's almost it's very hard, isn't it, for you to try and compete with them odds almost at the moment.
Yeah, I mean I don't really know how many of them are there. I mean there could be 5, there could be 3, there could be 25. And they pick and choose who they use. I mean, I don't know. We don't know any more than you guys do. We have our assumptions. We have our guesses. And we're keeping a very, very close eye on those people. But if they step in my way again, I'm not going to be so nice. This has happened too many times now. And a few phone calls have been made. Some arrangements are being put in place. So they can carry on doing what they're doing if they wish, but it's not going to end well for them.
Would you say, are you intimidated by them sort of speaking in riddles and them sort of, so you're in the ring, for example, I was watching the Torquay show, and you were in the ring, you just had a match with JP almost, and you're there, you've come out and you've apologised to the announcer for sort of the way you treated him, the lights go out dim, and all of a sudden, sort of from the entranceway, you've got that music playing, and then them coming out, sort of the lights start, it's almost like you're on your own. Would you say sort of that this is sort of a threat you've never sort of faced during your time during NLP so far?
It's definitely not a threat I've faced before, but it doesn't intimidate me. They're weird, whoever they are. They're weird, and they like to play games. I don't like to play games. I like to get straight to the point. This is the thing I addressed a week or two ago, is that there's so much... there's just so much there that I don't do. I don't play games or riddles or voice messages or random attacks. I'm straight to the point. And that's how I think is the best way to be. Do I know who these guys are? No. Will I take them down? Absolutely.
What I would ask, Vincent, is why do you think they're attacking you, though? You personally, they've gone for JP, and they've basically gone... they targeted JP and John Harding first time, and ever since then, they've been just targeting you. Even before they sort of debuted or hinted at debuting, they were giving you threats on Facebook and stuff. It's almost like a Roman Empire. They almost want to take the power that they think you've got. That's the impression I get.
They did spend a lot of time putting things up on social media and things like that. So they obviously have something planned. The attack on JP and John Harding, no idea why. I think John Harding, it happened because he was there. I think he tried to defend JP. I don't get it. I don't understand. JP's a nice guy. Yes, he rolled me up and he took advantage of a distraction on the last show. But as I said, I would have done the same. I think any other guy would have done the same. So I ain't going to hold it to him. The kid's got a lot of passion. He's got a lot of heart and a lot of talent. I think he's going to go places. But so I don't understand why they attacked him. Why they've attacked me on a number of occasions is something that I want to find out.
It's almost like the impression that we get, clearly sort of viewing it, is the fact that there's one of them that continues to be attacking you with a baseball bat. I'm getting the impression that he's almost the leader, which what the issue you're probably encountering is the fact that these people, they're not backstage. These people are just simply coming to the ring, attacking you, then leaving, which it's very hard for you to try and find out sort of what's going on, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the last show as well, we had extra bit of security as well because they turned up a couple of times and they still managed to get there. They're not coming from backstage. They are appearing. It's weird. It is weird. It doesn't intimidate me. It might intimidate others. It doesn't bother me. Their time will come. I'll take them down. I'll unmask them. We'll find out who they are.
I'm intrigued to see sort of how you're going to do that, and I hope sort of that the firm does have your back there, if that makes sense. Clearly, at the moment, you do seem to be on your own during facing this new foe, so to speak, which let's hope. So it's very hard for you to sort of challenge and try and chase title belts when you've got this unnecessary distraction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is a bit of a distraction. Obviously, it's cost me with the match with JP. It cost me and Jago a match against Adam Flint and British Smoke, Scott Jones. They put up a weird message. We were distracted and they picked up the victory. They're a thorn on my side, but I'll remove them. And on November 12th, the firm will be back. So the firm will be there live and in living colour.
So that's an exclusive there. The firm's come back November 12th. So November 12th, I think truly the war is going to start.
Oh yeah, myself. Obviously, I'll be there. The Enforcer will be back. God help Dead Man's Hand if they appear.
Have you got anything sort of that you want to say to them at all?
I think they're idiots. Tell us what it is.
They've promised that dreams can come true, but forgot to mention that nightmares are dreams too. We will emerge from the shadows, and what is done in the dark will be brought to the light. We are coming. You will not contain us. You will not control us. You will fear us. Expect the unexpected. Expect us.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what the hell happened there. Our audio equipment's just been taken over. What the hell?
Right, listen, I've come here at the goodness of my heart, right, to give you my time. Are you mucking me about now?
I've really got no explanation for that. I can only apologise to you, Vincent. Obviously, that's happened. Clearly, I've got no idea. That does sound very familiar voice, though. We've heard that voice at other shows.
Yeah, we have. But what I want to know is how the hell they've been able to put a message in this podcast.
I've got no idea there. I think
if you're mucking me about, there's going to be problems.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I'm afraid we've got a tight knit fence here. The security is on. There's no way that anything could happen. I can only apologise. Obviously, we've had this interruption. It's the same question: how they're taking over the public address systems at your shows as well. I've got no idea. I can only comment that we are going to try and find and get to the bottom of this. But if it's okay, I'd like to continue with the interview. I'm hoping there'll be no more interruptions.
I'm hoping this isn't a muck about and you're winding me up.
We wouldn't do that. The SCW Wrestling Podcast is a serious wrestling podcast.
Right.
I'm afraid the paranormal and the mystery of this new stable are totally out of our hands, and I apologise to you for the inconvenience that's been caused.
All I'm going to say is whoever these fools are, they're going to find out why they've ticked us off. I don't play nice. Dead man's going to have what's coming to him. It's going to come to the hands of the firm. Pure and simple. So if you're listening, boys, sleep with one eye open.
Let's get back onto a more positive subject now. So going forward then, so you've got, when's your next show at Cornwall then?
The next CPW show will be December 4th.
And do you have an opponent as of yet?
Yes, apparently so. It will be the firm versus Blake Harrison and another partner. I don't know who that is yet. It's not been announced. All we know is that one of them is Blake Harrison, formerly known as TC Harris. Any
clue who that might be? Could you guess, or no idea at all?
No idea. Not a lot of people like him, so I can't imagine a lot of people rushing to tag with him. He's already lost to us a couple of times. He's lost to me in singles matches. I mean, I'm a number one contender for the trophy again. So, because I pinned him. And he's obviously got a bit of agenda himself, so we'll wait and see. Will you be coming?
I will be trying to attend that show. Hopefully I can attend that show on behalf of the SCW Wrestling Podcast. What I would say, I noticed on Facebook that during one of your statuses, back in September, you were hinting it's time for a change. I was just wondering what that was implying. Was that a brand new Vincent Mad Dog Andrews, or is that you're going to go on your own, or is that what was that basically?
There's just going to be some new things added. There's going to be a difference. I've gone for the Academy belt a couple of times, and each time I've been screwed over. That doesn't bode well with me. Dead Man's Hand have been getting involved in business. That doesn't bode well with me. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of things that are going around. So a change will happen, and you'll see it when that belt's around my waist.
Oh, interesting. I'm intrigued to see sort of what will happen. I think clearly you have to start sort of with your new enemy first, and I don't know how you're going to get rid of them. They seem to be a massive thorn in your side, unfortunately, at the moment. But the fact you said the firm are coming back, that's going to be a massive help to you, I believe. So we're actually going to have potential gang war, aren't we, in the next LEP show?
I guarantee it. You know, if Dead Man's Hand show their face again, they're in for a rough night. Yeah. Once I've got them out of my way, then I'm going for that belt. Whoever's got it is going to have to watch out.
Why would you say that this threat, so much, why are they targeting you of anybody? They've gone such lengths, though, to protect their identity as well. It's almost like, do you not think it's somebody maybe you know, potentially? Maybe,
possibly. I don't trust anyone who hides behind a mask. I mean, anyone that hides behind a mask and dimmed lights and it doesn't work for me. They're not a man in my eyes. A man would look at me eye to eye, not through a mask. No, I don't care who it is. I really don't care. I've had a lot of people ask, so I'll address this now. A lot of people have asked if it's people from the firm. Absolutely not. My men were as carefully picked as the disciples of Christ. Right? None of my boys would ever be disloyal. None of them would go over to Dead Man's Hand or anywhere else. So I just want to clear the air there.
That's awesome. It's awesome to hear sort of you've got that unity still. What I would ask as well, going back to sort of the future then of Vincent the Mad Dog Andrews, do you sort of anticipate that you're going to be able to sort of challenge for title belts really soon?
Yeah, like I said, the Academy belt is what's in my horizon. And once I'm done with that, then I'll move on to bigger and better things. But that belt is what I want. I think it's well deserved.
That's awesome. Hopefully you get that chance. I'm really looking forward to potentially seeing you versus Maximo. I think that could be a really good feud. What I am going to do, I am going to sort of go back into sort of the origins of Vincent Andrews then. So Vincent Andrews, as a wrestler, if that makes sense, would you say you'd much rather see him sort of be a bad guy than a good guy? Or do you reckon that doesn't really make that much difference to you as a wrestler?
Makes no difference to me, really. I mean, as long as a crowd go away happy, that's how I see it. If a crowd turns up and then they walk away at the end of the show, like, that was an incredible night, and one of those reasons is because of Vincent the Mad Dog Andrews, I'm an happy man. You know, you pay your tickets, you have that right to cheer or boo. That's completely up to you. So it doesn't bother me either way. I know where I'm going. I know what I want. If people want to support me, you know, great, and I will thank them for it. If people don't, that's up to them. But what they're going to see is big things. They're going to see a bright future for the Mad Dog.
Awesome. Well, I was going to say, one of my favourite memories and one of my favourite feuds for you so far was your feud with Jason King. Clearly, we had Jason King on the show last week. That seemed to be a really captivating feud, and you two really went for it, didn't you?
Yeah. He's got an arrogance about him. You know, he's that. You know, I'll say it now. He had the Academy belt for, what was it, 394, 98 days, something to that effect. You know, do I agree with how he kept it? No, of course I don't, because within that I got screwed. But do I respect the fact that he had it for that long? Absolutely. You know, me and him had a match for the title very early on, and I had the victory. I had the 3 count on him. He had knocked the ref down, and then he had his boys come in and jump me and spray me in the eyes, and it was a screw job victory. But you know, he got desperate. He knows that I'm no normal competitor. And I still don't feel that is finished between me and Jason yet. We don't see eye to eye. I think we respect each other, but we definitely don't like each other. And I don't think that's finished yet.
That's awesome. What do you make of him unfortunately leaving LEPW?
Leaving LEP?
Yeah.
It's his choice. He's his own man. You know, he's obviously got goals that he wants to reach. Do I think that we'll see Jason come back? Yeah, I do. I think Jason King will come back to LEP. You can't stray away from home, and LEP was his home. So, you know, he's got to do what he thinks is best for him. If he comes back and he wants a challenge, and he knows that the Mad Dog will be there.
That's awesome. What do you think the future sort of holds for LEP as a promotion then?
Bigger things. You know, there's definitely some changes in the works. LEP as a training academy is incredible. It's run by people with big hearts. You know, Danny Walsh, who runs it, whether you like him or you hate him, the guy's got such passion, and he'll bring out the absolute best in you. The guys they've got up there to help with that training as well. As an academy, as a training centre, it's incredible. I can't speak highly enough of it. I'd recommend anyone to do it. Because there's this thing that comes with it. You know, there is a family there. Shows wise, things are going to get bigger and better. You know, we had there was a couple of flops, but you know, with everything, you're always growing. You're always getting bigger and better. Yeah, there's bright things in LEP's future.
That's awesome. Do you think generally though there's a potential for wrestling to become sort of rather larger than life here in the Southwest? Do you think do you reckon long-term wrestling promotions can survive without sort of booking almost household names, if that makes sense, like imports, American imports, for example?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's already happening, really. DWA, for instance, you know, DWA is an incredible promotion, and obviously you have John Redmond there, who's a former NXT guy, but you know, what he's done outside of that as well is incredible. So, you know, if you go to their shows, they don't bring in, you know, big names and, you know, former, you know, retired wrestlers and all famous, but they put on a hell of a show. You know, I've been there before. I've been there with family before, and I've walked away. Bloody incredible. So I mean, it does happen. CPW are the same. You know, CPW don't always bring in big guys, you know, big imports and things, but they always draw, you know, 300-400 people at a time. You know, that's a lot for a formal show, and the roof is blown off. So I mean, it does happen. It does happen. I think people don't think of it as much. But, you know, yeah, I can see that being a case of that companies won't need to rely on that stuff.
That'd be awesome. It'd be really good just to see sort of local promotions do really well. Clearly, with LEP, they've got a really good record of bringing talent through, and the rest of the have brought through clearly go on and have really good careers all over the sort of the southwest, if that makes sense. Would you say sort of the firm is going to be a long-term sort of angle / gimmick? Maybe you'll sort of be part of for the future. Or do you reckon you could probably branch out on your own and do your own thing almost?
I'd take with that. I'd take it each day as it comes. I know for a fact me and the boys are very happy and comfortable how we are at the moment. But I'm not looking forward. I'm not looking to go in. Let's say January. I'm going to chuck him in. I'm going to go my way. I'm not looking that far ahead. I take it each day as it comes. I know for a fact we're happy and comfortable how we are. And if that day comes where we've got our own individual plans and our own goals, then we'll take that necessary step.
That's awesome. I think what's quite good about the firm as a stable is they're clearly marketable. People are really behind you guys. When you go to Cornwall, you're so over. That's the thing. I think clearly people get behind you. You've got great entrance music, and I think it's a really good gimmick, really. What I would say about Vincent the Mad Dog Andrews, one of his key strengths that I've observed, you're really good on the mic. The promo skills you deliver, I think they're very entertaining. I think you can entertain a crowd quite easily, it seems.
Thank you. Yeah, I can talk. I've always been someone that can yap. Jason King does the same. I mean, you give Jason a microphone, and you may as well pitch a 10 for the night. He can do that, and I've always been very confident. If I've got something to say, I'll say it. And if you're going to listen, what an opportunity! It's an amazing opportunity if you stand in front of hundreds of people with a microphone and tell people what you want to tell them. So. Yeah, I've always been very comfortable with that. Thank you for that compliment as well.
No, you're welcome. I think it's a very good. I think that's clearly an observation. I think clearly you can captivate an audience well, which is really, really good. Well, I would say, do you think the firm will ever go down the road of having maybe a manager? Because there doesn't seem to be a lot of managers in LEPW, I've noticed.
No. Do you know what? We've been approached before in the past about a manager and things like that. We don't feel like we need one or it's necessary. We have our own agents, and they'll be sorting out future bookings elsewhere, when we give them that nod. But as in a manager sense, no, it's not really necessary. I don't think. You've got the sheer power and the force that you've got in Mr. Jago. You've got a rough brawler in myself, and like I said, I can speak. Mr. Rakes, when he's in Cornwall, the strength and the size and the look on that guy is insane. So. I don't see where a manager would fit. I mean, from my point of view, I can't see where that would fit in.
It's awesome. It's awesome just to hear sort of. Do you think the role sort of a manager nowadays in wrestling's gone on? Why do you think that it's not really needed as much?
I think a manager is always needed with particular people. Some guys don't need it. I was always under the impression CM Punk never needed Paul Heyman, but it was still magic what they did. CM Punk didn't need Heyman like Brock needed Heyman. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Brock Lesnar is a machine, but the guy can't speak, and he doesn't need to because he's got Paul Heyman there, and they work so well together. As he makes you can't have Brock without Paul Heyman. And I was always under the assumption that CM Punk never needed Paul Heyman, but it was just a wonderful treat for us to see that. I think some people need a manager, and I think managers are important and they play a very key role. But then other guys, it's just not necessary. I'd like to see a few more managers around in the Southwest scene. I don't know of very many.
I was going to say, who would you say is your favourite sort of professional wrestler, favourite sort of WWE or TNA star in terms of promo skills? Who would you say is your favourite sort of wrestler on the mic?
Punk, CM Punk.
Did you sort of enjoy his 4-2 into UFC, or do you think it was sort of a big mistake?
I'm a huge Punk fan. I'm a big Punk supporter. It was a brave choice doing what he did, going over to the UFC. I can understand why a lot of fighters were upset with him for that, which is understandable. But from a business point of view, he brought in big money. He had that WWE background. He had that fan base. So from a business and money making point of view, it made sense. I watched this fight and I didn't have high hopes because I think win or lose he would have been screwed. If he had won, people would have said it was a fix. If he lost, which obviously he did, he would have been laughed at. To step into an octagon, step into a wrestling ring or into an MMA cage or anything like that, it takes guts. And for the fact that he went in there with all that crap behind him from, other people, social media and other fighters, and he went in there and he did it. So, I'll still support him. And if he carries on in UFC or he carries on in MMA, I think he'll do well. He just needs to keep working hard.
Do you think he's going to come back to WWE? I do think that's sort of going to happen eventually. It's only a matter of time, really.
One day. Never say never. Like I said, Punk was always one of my favourites on the mic because he believed everything he said. Nothing felt staged. Nothing felt gimmicks and catchphrases. He was very straight to the point, and I take a lot of inspiration like that when I get on the mic, because I don't like to spill catchphrases and things that you hear every time. He's very honest, and that's what I always love. Will he come back to WWE? Probably one day. Bret Hart said he'd never come back, and he came back. Hulk Hogan said he'd never go back, and he went back. Lesnar said he'd never go back, he went back. See what I mean? So, never say never. I'd like to see it happen.
What I was going to say, clearly you still follow the product. Are you still quite an avid viewer of WWE? Do you still watch a lot of WWE, TNA, stuff like that, or do you just catch it when you can?
I follow WWE. I don't watch it religiously as much. I don't tune in every Monday, just because I've got my own things that I do in my personal life. This business I need to attend to, and it's a lot. It's very time consuming. So, but I do I always keep my ear to the ground. And, I YouTube and things like that. You've got things that are accessible, the network. So I keep it up to date with what's going on.
That's cool, man. Do you ever see sort of anything sort of maybe you can take from sort of watching NXT and WWE? Is there anything really you can take from that by watching it? Would you say?
I always, as a wrestler, I always watch and observe everybody now. Like when you start in the business, you watch wrestling differently. When you're a fan, you watch wrestling and you just watch the show. When you're a wrestler, you're analysing everything. You're watching every movement and every foot placement, and you're picking up ideas. And I went to see NXT in Plymouth. I don't know if you did.
Yeah. Shinsuke Nakamura was so over, wasn't he, at that show? I remember it quite well.
But yeah, so myself and the firm went there, along with a few of the others from LET, Maximo, things like that. And we went and saw NXT, and I was hooked. There was people were chanting and cheering all around me, and as a fan, but I was sat there and I was studying everything that was happening. American Alpha, I think was against the Rivals. Man, that match was incredible. So I'm always observing. So I do follow it, but I think I watch it differently now. Now that being in that business.
Have you met sort of any of your idols? Have you ever sort of wrestled any of your idols or met any of your idols in the business as of yet?
Not particularly. I was looking forward to having a match with Jason King, and we did do that match, and it worked nicely. There are a few guys that I'd like to work with. I'd like to work with Danny Walsh one day. I think obviously he's a great talent for head coach, so that would be nice. There's loads of names, so you're trying to pick people out on the spot. But yeah, there's loads of people.
That's awesome. It's awesome just to hear. I was wondering, did you ever have sort of you hear sometimes initiations in wrestling? I did see a documentary recently called Pinfall, and that was based out of Exeter, where a guy was learning. He's from What Culture, was learning basically to be a wrestler. And his initiation was chopped. Did you have a similar initiation when you first started as a wrestler? Is that the case?
Yeah, I saw that documentary as well, Pinfall. That was brutal. That guy went down, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like potatoes, he did. Initiation-wise, a lot of initiation is you pay your dues. I think a lot of people think that you turn up and you do a match and you go. Nah, you're there all day and night. And you pay your dues by you're there to put the ring down, stick it in the van, take it to the venue, unload it, put it up, put up the lights. We do everything. It's not just turning up and fighting. There's a lot of things that get put into place. And initiation-wise, you pay your dues that way. But I've been shocked by something else.
Yeah. I was going to say, you just hear sort of different horror stories and stuff like ribs and stuff, but I just wondered if the chop thing was a normal thing. I just wondered if you were going to go into wrestling sort of maybe as a profession, would you be expected? I can understand you set up the ring in terms of paying your dues. Would you say clearly you're always going to pay your dues wherever you wrestle, almost?
Absolutely. You don't get nothing in this world for free. You've got to work for everything that you want. And I've always been that. I've never wanted anybody to hand me anything, because that's just not how I'd like to. It wouldn't be good enough for me. So if I get an opportunity elsewhere, it's because I've earned it. It's because I'm wanted, because I've done the work. So yeah, absolutely. If I've got to pay my dues elsewhere, then that's what I'll do.
What I was going to ask is, have you ever considered looking at the other side, almost like the booking side? Have you ever wanted to get involved in sort of the booking side of wrestling ever, or have you always just wanted to be a performer?
Yeah, just a performer, I think, for me. Creative wise, I'd like to dip my feet in that pool one day. But no, at the minute I'm very much focused on training and getting better and better every time. So, when yourself and everybody else comes to watch a show, they're walking away happy, and you're remembered as well. You want to be someone that they remember. It's happened before. I've done a match, and you go, oh, how was the match? And they don't remember who you fought. You go, oh man, that's a kick to the gut. When they go, oh, I don't remember who you were fighting. I don't remember. So I mean, then you walk away with that and you go, you need to get better. So I'm just focusing on training and putting on the best performances I can.
That's awesome. I was going to say, how easy do you find sort of, clearly you've got a talent, as we said on the microphone, how easy do you find sort of, in terms of your promos, is that something where you're told sort of, this is the direction we want to go in, or is this all off the top of the head, a lot of it? Because you seem to naturally be able to just grab a crowd and sort of put them in the palm of your hands almost, and get them sort of to follow the way you want to think, if that makes sense, your character's going.
Again, I just feel very comfortable with the microphone. There's always nerves before you go out in front of a crowd, and if you want to talk in front of the crowd, that's always nervous, but it's always nerve-wracking. But I do have a good idea of what the point is that I'm trying to get across. So I don't go out there with an empty head. I know the point I'm going to put across, and I just hope that the crowd enjoy that mic time.
It's awesome just to sort of hear that. I was going to say, what I would do going on to it as well, what would you say is the worst injury you've ever had?
Do you know what? I've been quite fortunate, touch wood, to not sustain anything too serious. I've sprained wrists, I've hurt my knees before, my nose, but nothing too serious so far. And I'm touching wood here, man. No, I've been quite fortunate so far to not be too injured. Nothing that's kept me away from shows.
Oh, it's good that you've had that sort of fortune. Clearly, I think it's such a dangerous business, sort of being in and out of the ring. I think clearly you can prepare as much as possible, really, but sometimes it's just a case of taking the bump the wrong way, I think, can really, really sort of harm you. Has there been what would you say has been your favourite moment in wrestling so far?
That's a nice one. My CPW debut is something that I think I'll remember quite fondly, because it felt very easy in the sense that when you're in your hometown and in front of your own hometown people, you think they're going to get behind you because of that, but that doesn't always happen. But we were quite fortunate. So for one of those moments, it was quite. That's a night I won't forget, because we went, the music hit, they went from Cornwall, and the crowd just went bonkers. And we stepped out, and we stood on that stage, and I turned around, and I said to Jade, I went, wow. And then we walked to the ring, because it was incredible. There's a lot of fortune that comes with it. There's plenty of rewards that come with wrestling, doing shows, and it's not just shows. It's not just winning or having the best match. It's when you've got people that approach you and go, "I came to the show because of you." Someone said that to me at a Cornwall show. We had a name star down, and they come up and went, "We came down here to watch you guys." And I went, "No, come on, really?" And they went, "Yeah, we travelled all the way. We spent over £100. We've come down here because we saw you in Plymouth, and we knew you were on the show. We came down to see you guys." That is something you can't forget. That's an incredible feeling. fact that you're doing your job right, and that there's people that care and are invested in you. I've got a great fan in a guy called Chris Daly, lovely young guy who has been supportive of myself and the firm since day one. And that again was a very warming moment. So those are the highs of it, definitely.
It's awesome to hear you have such a fan base as well, and that sort of appeal. Is there any plans? Would you like to sort of maybe venture into or bring the firm into Pro Wrestling Pride, anything like that, or do you think the firm should be reserved just for sort of LEP and potentially sort of CPW?
If the opportunity comes about, it'd be something we'd think about. It's as I said earlier, it's a lonely business, and you got to do what's right for yourself and career-wise. If that opportunity came about and I felt that it was the right time to do that, then I do it. If the opportunity was there, and if like I said, the time, everything is timing. Again, I'm very happy with where I am at the moment. If my phone rings and I'm being told I'm wanted elsewhere, it'll be definitely something I consider.
That's cool. It's cool to hear sort of you've got that ambition sort of to do other stuff and maybe sort of go to other promotions if that makes sense. Do you prefer being a singles wrestler, or would you prefer like tag team wrestling or stable wrestling or group wrestling?
Oh, good question. I do like tags. I do enjoy doing tags, especially when we do it with the firm. I've done tags with other people before, and it's the chemistry isn't quite there, and I've not enjoyed it as much. But I love it when I get in the ring with Mr. Dave. Like I said, I've tagged with Maximo a couple of weeks ago, and that was great fun. We've got good chemistry there, so I enjoy that. And there's times you get to just have a break.
Yeah, of course.
You're in the ring doing it, and you just get just that minute to get your breath back. So yeah.
What would you say has been your sort of favourite feud so far in sort of the world of Vincent Mad Dog Andrews? Have you had a favourite feud at all?
I don't think there's been too much feud-wise, really. I mean, we've come in and we've definitely, I think, we've made a mark in it. I've enjoyed. Well, I say enjoyed. I said Jason King's always been the thorn on my side, and like I said earlier, I don't think that story is finished yet. I think me and him will come to blows again. That man's hand is obviously what's going on right now, and there are guys that we'll be dealing with. But yeah, I think Blake Harrison as well has got some sort of agenda as well. I fought him at CPW and beat him to become number one contender, so I think he's got a couple of issues. Oh, and the Russian guy, Dmitry Ivanov, he's got a few issues as well. So.
Do you think, sort of, Vincent, that you're almost building a portfolio of enemies, though, that could obviously maybe jeopardise the firm and maybe your chances of winning a title this year, or maybe in the next 12 months?
I think the firm have been quite successful coming into LEP and CPW things. We've done quite well, and that might intimidate others. Who are these guys? Like, why are they being in this position? But we're there to do our job, get our paycheck, entertain the fans, and that's that. And lay an house with them. If people don't like it, then they're more than welcome to step in the ring and do something about it.
I think looking at this one, clearly we are hoping sort of that you get to the bottom of your feud. I'm hoping really things sort of get back to normal. Really, clearly they've interrupted our podcast now, which I'm not very happy about. Clearly, I'm hoping that whoever this is, whoever sort of is sort of challenging you, hopefully it all comes to light soon, so to speak. I'm really hoping that at the end of it, it's gonna sort of hopefully you'll come out with a title. Fingers crossed.
Well, I mean, what do you want to see as a fan? What do you want to see?
What would I like to see? Yeah. I think generally, as a fan, what I do like is I like sort of angles that make sense, long-term angles that make sense. In-ring action is obviously important. Charisma is a massive thing. Mm-hmm. And I think the main thing with it as well is you are looking at potentially, I think with the firm has got a lot of potential. What I would question is, this is almost the first time I've seen the firm under threat, unfortunately, from this new enemy. You don't know who they are. They seem to be able to come and go, like ghosts almost. And when they come, they make a presence. The problem is you're dealing with an unknown quantity. You know that the firm is only 3 or 4 of you. these guys could be 8, 9, 10. They could be anyone. There's nothing to say. There's yet any proof, though, I would say, Vincent, with all due respect, that there's no proof to say the firm are not these guys. That's the only concern I have, really. Which maybe that is the case. Clearly, you assure me that that's not the case, but I think it's very hard for you to know sort of what the level playing field is when you're dealing with an unknown quantity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand your point. The fact there's nobody in the firm that are with Dead Man's Hand. I have money on it. No, my boys, we're not just business associates. We're brothers. We've got plans for Dead Man's Hand, and they're obviously paying attention to this. So if they show up, especially if they show up on November the 12th, they've got a big surprise.
Everything sort of that we're hearing basically states that they're going to maybe target Maximo, which I'm surprised they're taking their direction to Maximo, if that makes sense. But hopefully the firm will be back. And as you said, they've already said it's going to be a war. So clearly they are. It looks like on Facebook they've just done another status saying they're basically going to almost call you out, which I don't know. What are you making of these continual constant threats to you?
I don't understand why they keep doing it. I don't understand what their issue is. Why they're going down the route that they're going, but they've got a problem with me. They've got a problem with the firm, and if, as you said, that you've heard that they're going after Maximo.
That was one of their statuses. They've said there was a new champion. The war started with yourself. Apparently, they said you were scared. Apparently, you had fear in your eyes. No offense. And apparently, there's a new champion, which it doesn't elaborate whether they're going to go for a champion. All that we're saying is they've confirmed they're going to be probably at November 12th stock in Plymstock for anybody who's listening. What they've also said is they're basically saying, remember, we're everywhere. We bring fear into your pathetic lives. Now you find yourself constantly looking over your shoulders. You may state that we're nothing to fear, yet we cause fear in your eyes, which it's almost like all this bringing the light to the dark. It's almost like the question I would say really is they're obviously hiding for a reason. There's something there which doesn't sit well with me in terms of they can come into this podcast at any moment almost, and the fact that they're targeting you now. You obviously had an established stable. They're not back down. They promised obviously to attack you straight away, and they did that, which is it's almost like they got away with it. The last two shows, you've been singled out. Nobody's helped you. JP didn't help you. There was nobody from the firm. You said they're on the business. It just doesn't sit particularly well with me. I really hope that the firm come back as a unified unit, because if it's just you on your own, it's a bit uneven.
No, I agree. With regards to if they go for Maximo's got friends in high places. So, and in regards to people coming to my aid that aren't the firm, they did the first attack out of nowhere, no preparation for that. But I've had words with some of my close associates within NEP and said, if they show up, I don't want you out there. This is my business, and I'll take care of my business. And what sense does it make for other people to get hurt? So, but the firm will be there on November 12th. I hope to see you there, and the others will be there, because if Dead Man's Hand turn up, they're going to have to go through the firm.
That's a challenge there. Dead Man's Hand clearly are listening, so that's a challenge there right there. What we will do, obviously going on to sort of the interview now, going into the last part of the interview with yourself, Vincent, what we would say is, are you hoping sort of that you can get over this latest chapter? Because this hasn't been a particularly positive experience for you at the moment. Clearly you are dealing with an entity that can they come through sort of the main entrance to the building, then they leave. It's very little chance for you to get any sort of revenge on them, it seems.
Yeah, of course we can. Of course we can. It's a daft question. Yeah, we can. We've come over other things. We went into CPW on our first night and tore the house down. We went into LEP on our first night, tore the house down. We've overcome things, and we'll overcome this. This is just, as far as I see it, I think they're just punks that just want to get their name out there and go for the biggest guys.
But then why are they hiding behind a mask? That's the thing. The key thing. You wouldn't hide. If they were just anybody, they would just attack you. But the effort these guys have gone to protect their identity, the fact they're coming out with baseball bats, and the thing is, they're coming out with numerous numbers. 1 minute it's 2, 1 minute it's 3, next minute it's 5, it could be 6. It's a lot of effort, isn't it, just to protect your identity almost?
Question, yeah. Your guess is as good as mine. Why do they wear masks? They're cowards. In my opinion, they wear masks because they're cowards. As I've said before, they've obviously got an agenda, and that's going to come to light very soon.
Okay. No problem. What we're going to do now, I'm just going to quickly go into one last key thing just about your career and stuff. Is there any sort of plans for you sort of within the next sort of 3 to 4 months basically to challenge that title? Or do you think it's going to be sort of a long way off?
No, I wouldn't say a long way off. No. It's definitely in my line of sight. You know, Maximo has it now. And it's definitely there. I think Dead Man's Hand, as you said earlier on, they are a distraction. They are trying to stand in the way, but I'll run through them and then I'll take the belt. I think it would look good on my shoulder. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it would be good to maybe sort of see somebody else. As much as Maximo's a fantastic worker, he doesn't really say much on the mic, does he?
No, he's a quiet but fiery character, really. He's incredible in the ring. Man, some of those things he can do, insane. I think having a good one-on-one with him would be good fun. He's very agile, really. He's very quick. I'm a very round-pound brawler, so that'd be a good mix-up.
That's awesome. I was going to say, is there anything you wanted to plug before we sort of finish the interview off tonight?
Just that we've just got some incredible shows. Like we said, we've got November 12th. There's one I want to say, is it December the 11th? Don't hold me to it. Let me just double check. December 4th for CPW.
Yes.
Which is going to be great. The CPW trophy is up for grabs, but unfortunately not in a match that involves myself. But that match will be coming on later down the line. So obviously, CPW trophies in my future, which I think is about right, really. Cornwall guy should have the Cornwall belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So November 12th we've got Plymstock, and December 11th we're in Saltash. And that's LEP. So we've got some quality shows coming up for the rest of the year. Also, it's probably a good idea to plug the academy itself, if I could be afforded that time.
Yeah, of course, no problem.
We do have the training sessions on every Tuesday and Thursday. There's a kids session as well on Wednesday, and you can also, if you're starting up, you can have one-to-one sessions as well. £30 a month, right? Some places you'll pay an extortionate amount of money for training, and you'll get an incredible training for just £30 a month. It's incredible. And from the likes of Danny Walsh, former multiple champion, it's definitely worth the money. I would say so. And obviously that's based in Torquay as well. So there's a lot of things to look forward to. And if you're a person that likes the shows and was like me and wanted to always be in the ring themselves and stand in front of a crowd, then there's a door there.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on this evening, Vincent. Thank you very much for your time. Apologies, obviously, for the issues we had earlier. I'm afraid that's been totally out of my control, and I apologise for that.
I'd like to think so.
Certainly. Thank you for your time. We'll definitely have to have you on again in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great to come on. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening, everyone.
And that was episode 34, SCW, the wrestling podcast there with our guest Mad Dog Vincent Andrews of the firm from Cornish Pro Wrestling and Limited Edition Pro Wrestling. Now, we can only apologise to Vincent because we're trying our best to find out who or what Dead Man's Hand is and what they want. I mean, so far we've not been able to trace this group or their location despite our best efforts, but we could hear from the interview that November 12th is going to be a very key date. Both Dead Man's Hand and the firm are confirming they will be at the November 12th Plymstock for Limited Edition Pro Wrestling. So hopefully, just hopefully, we'll find out some more information of what is going on that occasion. I certainly am looking forward to it, and I'm sure you are as well. So if you're in Plymouth in the United Kingdom on November 12th, then why not get yourself a ticket and check it out for yourself. I'll also leave a link in the description for the firm's official Facebook page as well. You can go and give them a like right now. But that's been SCW, the Wrestling Podcast, episode 34. Remember, you're listening right now on Steve Chats Wrestling, hashtag SCW, the Wrestling Channel, here on YouTube.com. Subscribe to that channel right now if you haven't already. Remember, all the latest and breaking news will be put on this channel. And of course, there will be more podcasts coming on this channel as well. There are previous podcasts also you can check back on right now. There's even a little playlist now on my channel called SCW The Wrestling Podcast, so make sure to go through that and you can see interviews with English pro wrestler Jason King, as well as What Do Wrestling Fans Want in 2016, a fantastic podcast I recommend listening to also. As well, go to the Facebook, top of the search engine, type in SCW The Wrestling Podcast, hit the like button now and keep up to date with everything as when it's posted on there as well. But thank you very much for listening, and you've been watching Steve Chats Wrestling, hashtag SCW The Wrestling Channel on YouTube.com. And also, you've been listening to SCW The Wrestling Podcast, episode 34. We'll see you next time for episode 35. Thank you for watching and listening, and take care.